Jordan, we have a few housekeeping items that we want to address. First of all, we are recording today's session, so just so you know that this is being recorded, and we will be able to share this later on our YouTube page. So we will send a link out to that when that's up and going. And for right now, everyone is muted and will stay muted for the duration of the presentation. But like Jordan Dean, we got two Jordans, JD and JW. Like JD said, feel free if you have any questions throughout the presentation to go ahead and enter those questions into the chat box, and JD will read those off as they come in. And as we have a chance, or we'll wait till the very end. So we'll just this is really going to be a very casual session. I know that Jordan Wieber loves to get questions, and we'll answer those it's more of a conversational kind of thing with him. Right, Jordan?
Absolutely.
Is that fair? Okay, great. And then, and if you have questions, let us know. And we also do have a therapist on staff and on hand. So if at any point we may be talking about some things that could be triggering. If you feel like you need someone to follow up with you, please do go ahead and send us a note in the chat, and we will have someone from our office get back with you after the webinar is completed. So it is my pleasure to introduce to you Officer Jordan Wieber, and he is a crime prevention officer at the Traverse City Police Department. And Jordan is originally from Lansing, and after graduating from Kellogg Community College, and he's also a veteran from Afghanistan and Operation Enduring Freedom. So Jordan, again, thank you for your service to our country, and you're a man of service. Thank you. He moved to Traverse City in 2013, and he was a patrol officer for about 3 years. And from there, he wanted to get on the narcotics team and was welcomed into that. And so he did that for a while. And then I think was that like maybe another 3 years or so. And then Traverse City Police Department decided they wanted to do some more intervention on the narcotics front. And they invited Jordan to be their first ever crime prevention officer. So he works closely with local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies and investigates individuals who transport or try to sell narcotics throughout northern Michigan. And he also works with area treatment facilities and helps work with families and individuals who need help and are trying to struggle to get away from substance abuse. So Jordan, did I leave anything out?
No, thank you.
Oh, okay, well, welcome. I'll kick it over to you.
All right, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be here today. And I think, Jordan, you have a few poll questions to start off. The first one is just, who are you? I think we know who I am. I'd like to get a little opportunity to see who's out there.
It's always great to see what the audience makeup is. A lot of folks with CPS, law enforcement, CACs. Awesome, great, fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, most 42% CPS, okay. I think we have a couple more of those polls too, right, Jordan?
Yeah. And then the other question is narcotics an issue here in northern Michigan?
Wow. Okay. Okay, so far everyone believes that it is an issue. Thank you. And then we have one final question. And that is, how knowledgeable are you in the subject of narcotics? And I put myself in that lower category. I can't vote, but that's where I am. Oh. Okay, so kind of a combo platter between knowledgeable and a little bit unsure. Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you everybody for filling out those results. Jordan, would you like me to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen then. And first of all, I got to find my presentation. Where is that? Here we go. Okay. Sorry, everybody. Sorry for the delay here. Get that for you. And then, okay. All right, Jordan, take it away.
Great. Thanks again. I just wanted to hit on that point. This presentation isn't to scare anyone. It's just to educate. And nothing I say here today hasn't been said already out there, either on the news or somewhere else out there in social media. Narcotics are in every community, big, small, city, rural. It really doesn't matter where you are. So just wanted to hit on that. Narcotics, they play a vital role in all the other crimes such as larceny, retail frauds, domestic violence, and that's kind of why I took interest into it. If we can find out what is some of the root of what's causing these crimes, maybe we can interdict it or use some intervention to prevent it from occurring in the future. And just like any other community, historically, narcotics are shipped up here, usually throughout the border, down south or through Florida. Generally, cocaine and heroin, we see it come up from the southeast side of the state up here, while your crystal methamphetamine, that generally comes up from the southwest side of the state, from some source cities. So why Traverse City? Why is Traverse City considered like a hub or have a lot of narcotics? And there's several reasons for this. One of the major ones is individuals who sell narcotics downstate, and they've realized that they can come up here and they can sell it for more than what they can sell it down there. Also, they don't have the competition from other rival sellers or gangs, so violence. So up here they can come up, they usually have a local connect or group or clique that they've come to know, or they will come up here and use our hotels. We're a destination city, so they will use a hotel room as sort of like a base of operation. And so what does the market look like in here in Traverse City? And just like any community, like I said earlier, within 20 minutes, if you know the right person, you can pretty much get whatever drug that someone would want. A couple years ago, yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask a stupid question, Jordan? Okay, so how does somebody do that? You come up here and then, I mean, how do you even know where to, like, how do people know where to go and, you know, within 20 minutes find narcotics?
It's a clique or somebody that they know, that they've come to know over years. It could be friends from high school. It could be somebody that they've met out socializing. It could be from work. It could be anywhere. It could be school. So as they make these connections and they get to know these people downstate, that the people downstate have often realized that they can come up here and exploit some of these people that are suffering from a substance abuse disorder, and they can set up their base of operation. They might use their house as a place where they can sell their drugs out, and they will give them maybe a cut or some drugs to allow them to do this. Now, recently, in the last couple of years, we've been seeing a lot of narcotics being shipped and obtained through the internet or through parcel companies using the dark web. And so it's always changing, is what I'm trying to say. Historically, that's what we've been seeing, but now, as of recently, due to the internet and how easy it is to come across some of this stuff online, people are having it shipped right to their house. And then a lot of this, I want to educate parents out there. We've also seen people order up drugs and narcotics through social media, whether it's Facebook, Snapchat, or even their gaming consoles. That was one that we've been seeing recently. So now some things that, if you want to switch to the next slide, some things that we're doing here at the department is we want to change how our officers go about addiction or people who are suffering from substance abuse. We want to change that stigma. We want to have our officers be more guardians of our community, allow them that, hey, these people that are suffering, they they didn't wake up one day and decide I want to be an addict today. Either they got into it because of a previous injury, a mental illness, maybe the home broke down. There's many different scenarios of why somebody would become a substance addicted or on some sort of narcotic. What we want our officers to do is look at that person and try to get them the assistance they need. So we do that by referring people to drug court. Our officers also carry around pamphlets for local treatment facilities that if we come in contact with somebody that we can refer that treatment to them. And then, so it doesn't discriminate either, narcotics usage. We've dealt with people from the higher echelons of the community to people that may be residentially challenged. Anybody can become addicted, and we want to change how we look at addiction and offer some people some assistance. So we've changed from trying to arrest our way out of this, I guess, to trying to offer some assistance to our community.
Hey, Jordan, may I ask another question?
Yeah.
How vast a problem is it? How big is it?
I want to say a few years ago that our EMS, I think we did a survey, or they did some research, and they were going to 3 or 4 overdoses a week. So it's a problem. It's a real problem. And what we're doing at the department, we're collaborating with some of our other local law enforcement and our court systems. And we're also reaching out nationally and doing a lot of research and figuring out ways that we can combat this and really be there for our community. So, all right, after that, we'll move on to the first narcotic, and which is cocaine. Because we're a tourist destination, we have a nightlife often. Prior COVID, we do see a lot of cocaine. Usually it's in the powder form, not necessarily crack. However, we do see that. For any parents out there, what we see it referred to often up here is girl, blow, or bump, soft, and then, yeah, crack cocaine. So that's commonly what we see because of the nightlife. It's a stimulant, it's a party drug. So yeah, it is here. And
I had a question come in. Is the percentage of overdoses higher among the homeless population?
it's scattered all throughout the community. Like I said, we've kind of seen it all over. It doesn't really matter. It can be anywhere. We've seen kids right out of high school from good families who have just come across the wrong group of friends and maybe have gotten addicted to it, to the homeless. It doesn't discriminate. We've pretty much seen it across throughout the community. All right, and then we'll go on to I think our next one is heroin. So heroin, back when I started in 2009, we didn't really see a lot of it. It was here. And then in 2013, we had a lot of heroin came in. We had a dealer from down in the Detroit area who pretty much, she came up and started the heroin drug trade here in Traverse City. And if you go back even further, a lot of pills were being prescribed. People were, whether for whatever reason, if they had some kind of medical issue, their prescriptions ran out. We saw this influx from like 2013 to 2016 to heroin. And that's kind of when our market really came up here into Traverse City. And we started noticing these overdoses throughout the community. And then as of recently, because of COVID, late last year, I spoke with a representative from HIDA, which stands for the High Intensity Drug Trafficking Association. And they monitor all drug seizures throughout the United States. And this representative from Detroit informed me that in 2020 that overdoses were up 20% at that time. So it hasn't really gone away. It's something that we're going to have to continue to focus on and try to do preventive education out there in our community and incorporate more intervention programs here. And basically it's not going to go away, and we're going to have to work as with each other to try to figure a way out of this. So, and then, so that's kind of been our heroin scene and what we have seen. Up here, it's usually called boy, dog food, H, or heroin, typical to what's downstate. Yeah.
I had a
Jordan?
question.
Yeah, go right ahead.
I had a question come in. How prevalent is fentanyl in our area, and has it increased or decreased over the last year?
Yes, fentanyl, we do see that. It is up here. We've taken extra precautions. It's something that's definitely here. We are aware of it. Our officers are trained on it. So,
Jordan,
yeah.
I feel so, I'm very not educated about this. So what form does heroin come in? What form does fentanyl come in? I mean, hold my hand and walk me through this, because I really don't, like, as a parent, I wouldn't know what would be what. Does that
And
make
that's
sense?
okay. Even when I thought I had a good handle on this, and what I try to tell people, when I was on patrol, I thought I had a good idea of what the narcotics trade was
Mm-hmm.
in this community, until I went and worked narcotics. That's when I really got an education on what's going on and what's really out there. So there's always something to learn. I'm still learning stuff.
Oh, well, thank you.
There's so much stuff out online nowadays that you can see and you can research, and but most of the heroin that we see is up here is in a powder form. It's usually brown. We have seen it in pill tablets, but that's usually assembled out by the dealer and how it's sold. But usually it's in a powdered form.
Okay. And how about fentanyl?
Fentanyl is up here. Yeah, it's powdered from what we've seen usually as well.
Okay.
And is it true that narcotics are trafficked to northern Michigan because they fetch a higher financial return?
Yes. Yep. So just like any goods, it's a commodity. So the further it has to travel, the more value it obtains. So in Travers, we're really like the end of the line as far as the trade route. That so the further it goes, the more risk that the dealers or the smugglers have of getting caught. So the more expensive it is. And then, yeah, that's pretty much all I have on the heroin scene. It is still here. It is still prevalent. And I'll get into a little bit more later on what we're trying to do, how we can assist our community, and some things and programs that we have that are in the works that we plan on implementing here soon. But the latest what we've seen is meth. Back in probably 2013, I took a training from a trooper out west. He informed me that in 5 years, we would probably see no meth labs. And back in 2009, when I started, meth labs were really big. They were really prevalent. We saw a lot of them throughout northern Michigan. If you've ever seen those on the news, you'll see the state police and their hazmat team. It's very taxing. It takes a lot of resources, and they were a big problem. Then heroin kind of came on the scene. The meth labs were still there. They were still prevalent. And then probably in 2016, our meth labs kind of dropped off here in Grand Traverse. I want to say maybe in the last few years, we've only had a couple, and that's because of crystal meth. That's when crystal meth came on scene. And those are, crystal meth is produced in, they call them like mega labs down in south of the border. Then once it's mass produced, it's shipped mass at a higher quantity. So basically from going from the guys that were making it, the one pop method, taking battery acid, batteries and pseudoephedrine and concocting this meth, which was really dangerous, is now kind of gone from going away, now back, and that's probably the number one drug that we see throughout our community right now. And
So can I ask a question, Jordan? Again, with the work that we do with children and helping to protect them, and for our other CAC partners out and about who are on this call, what advice do you have for us as we're talking with kids who may be involved in allegations of some sort of abuse? What kind of questions can we ask to see if they have been exposed or been around, or what kind of things do we need to look for as we're talking with these kids?
oh, that's a great question. There's so much there. I mean, it's kind of tough to answer, but in these homes, we often see kids in these homes, and it's one of the saddest things, because they are brought into it not by their own choosing, and that's where you guys can come in from CPS, and you can assist us. And so if you can educate yourself on some of the signs, what are these parents, what do they look like? Can you ask them those questions? And that's one of the things, going back to stigma, that we want to get these people assistance. Are suffering from it, and they do have families. But, at the end of the day, our goal is not to separate families. Our goal is to get people treatment so that they can be whole again. So as law enforcement, just like you guys, we're a tool, and as we all work together, and hopefully we can better some of these people's situations. So I would just say, take the time to educate yourself on it. There's so many good documentaries out there, and I could take this whole time to talk about some of the signs, but each drug is different. And
I mean, are there like the top, just a handful of top things that you would suggest that we keep an eye out for in terms of helping to intervene?
Yeah, the hardest part with what we see usually is the personal usage. The amounts for heroin, cocaine, or crystal meth can be so small, but they can get such big highs from it. So it can be right in front of your face and you not even know. I would check and do your research on Amazon. You can go out and buy a water bottle like this, or an item that looks like a Coke can, or your household products that have been changed and altered to be a hide. So this stuff can be right out in front of you. But there's small things like glass pipes, straws, Brillo pads. It's there. You just kind of have to put the puzzle pieces together. And even for an experienced officer, it's hard to notice sometimes.
When it comes to meth, what are the specific things there? Like, are there smells to look for, tools that are used with meth that are different from other drugs?
Yeah, so back in the day when we had the one-pot methods, it was a lot easier. You could smell the chemicals. You would see the remnants, whether it was from the pseudoephedrine packets or the batteries. We had a bunch of, garbage that you could see. Now it's gotten even harder. They can conceal a pipe pretty much anywhere, and has made it a lot harder for us as law enforcement to see some of these signs. So.
And how prevalent is the drug issue in general among teens?
It's definitely there. We don't deal with teens as much on my end, but we do know it's there. Generally, how we see it, in my experience, is they come across prescriptions, medications that either parents have or some other family or guardian that they have easy access to. They'll take it to a party and share it amongst one another. And so they'll experiment with either marijuana, the pills, and then eventually it will work itself up to some of these other drugs if they're not careful and it's not intervened quickly.
Mhm. I was talking with a sheriff in Indiana one time, and he was talking about Skittles parties. I don't know if that's something that still happens or whatever. That's where they, they put all of the pills together in one big bowl, and people just, kids will come and just take a handful at a time. And I mean, are you
Yep,
seeing,
we
are you
have
seeing
heard
a
of
lot of
that.
that? Yeah.
I've never seen that here. I mean, I've heard of them going on in other locations. We've
Mhm.
heard of individuals concocting their heroin to different batches to see how strong they could get the concoction, and then having naloxone there to see if they could get as high as they can. So, I mean, anything is that you see out there can definitely happen here, if that makes sense.
It does. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So going on to meth to human trafficking, and just like any other thing, if you know the right place to go online, and going back to Traverse City, we're a destination town. So yeah, we're gonna have prostitution. In 2021, we're gonna try to be more proactive in our detective bureau and try to work some of these cases and not just pursue them criminally, but also offer these people resources. From my experience, nobody that I've spoken to got into the sex trade because they wanted to. It was either to support their habit or support themselves financially because maybe they have come across hard times or whatever life has dealt them that they had to turn to this. They needed money or to support their way of life. So it does happen here. Usually they meet online. We don't usually have an open market here in Traverse City for narcotics or prostitution. And what an open market is you'd see a dealer out on a corner or someone in the sex trade working the corner. Usually what we see is arrangements are made online here. So, but yeah, it is here. It is in our hotels generally. If you think you see something like that, report it and contact us. Usually what you'll see is in these hotel rooms, whether it's narcotic sales or for prostitution, you'll see high amounts of traffic. So lots of guests, lots of cars coming and going at all hours throughout the day. It could be early morning to late at night. So if you see something like that, allow us to take there's several factors that we're going to look into additionally. But if you see something suspicious that kind of catches your eye, let us know so we can look into it. But yeah, both the narcotics trade and human trafficking, like prostitution, is here. One of our most vulnerable, I guess, portion of our society for human trafficking is our young adults, our teenagers, with social media and what's all out there. Relationships can be made quite easily from individuals who are not from our area or that could even possibly be here. There's several different types of human trafficking. It's not just prostitution. It can be for work, indentured servants. There's many different kinds of human trafficking. But in our community, the ones that are most vulnerable are juveniles. That's why we take runaways very seriously. We try to do as much follow-up on that as we can, as fast as we can, to get those individuals back home. And we try to take and ask questions about what's going on, dive in a little bit more to see what's going on at home, just to get them more assistance and try to figure out the problem or the root of the issue.
So I had a situation actually up here in the Traverse City Mire. I was at the store late at night and I had been given some human trafficking training in some of my college classes in social work. And so I kind of picked up on this weird situation where a man was walking around with an empty basket around the store, nothing put into the basket. And then periodically would follow me, would pull out his phone. I went into a different section of Meyer, and someone else was sitting in an area by like the greeting cards and would pick up his phone around the same time that this person was texting. And then they would start following me around. And I went and told the Meyer manager, and then obviously got out of there as fast as I could. So do you see big grocery stores like that as being a danger to this topic?
I mean, we're like any city. It sounds like you did a great job by keeping your head on a swivel and noticing. And at the end of the day, that's what you have to do. I tell people, yeah, we're Traverse City, but we are like any other community. Anything can happen. Anything can happen no matter where you live. We always got to keep our head on a swivel, watch over everyone. That's great that you saw that, because I mean, it could have been somebody else that they were even after too. So just alerting the store or alerting us can help in that situation. So yeah, always keep your head on a swivel no matter where you are.
And we had a question, sorry, Ginger.
Nope.
Coming actually from Heather, who is on our staff. She was wondering if there are signs of someone who is currently involved in the trafficking that outside people could pick up on in order to get help if they need to.
Oh yeah, that's really good. And what's tough is a lot of these individuals, I guess slang word would be a pimp or somebody that's trafficking them. They're very controlling of them. They control when they access their phone. So it's very hard to see, I guess, what's going on there. They might be withdrawn. They might be there's something that does not look normal. There's so many signs, but each situation is going to be different too at the same time. I wish I could answer that question. It's kind of a tough one for me. Apologize on that one.
I know I've heard of like certain tattoos that people might have, or like in hotels, if there's only one suitcase and there isn't two for someone checking in. I know I've heard that one too. So I don't know how obvious.
Yep, I have heard of that, of tattoos or brandings that the controller or the pimp will force on that female. They'll get them addicted to narcotics generally. I've heard a stat that it only takes approximately like 48 hours for a juvenile runaway to, I guess, get in contact with somebody that could try to solicit them for prostitution or human trafficking. But yeah, I have heard of that. I have not seen it up here, but I have heard that it does happen. Generally, hotel rooms, from speaking with some of our colleagues downstate, I have heard where their controller, may get another hotel room to monitor, and the females or vice versa males may be in one room, and they kind of monitor the Johns that come in prior to, and I guess protect their individual that they're trying to oversee or control.
And it happens with young men also, correct? It's not just females that find themselves in a trafficking situation. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Now, hey, I have another question for you, Jordan. When you are out talking, I mean, do you talk with teenagers about the dangers of the possibilities of trafficking? And if you do, like, are there things that you share with them, things that they need to be careful about, or?
Yeah, we do have a school resource officer that does hold, like myself, she was previously a narcotics officer, and yes, she does try to get out there and educate. That's one thing that we try to do at the department, is educate and preventive measures, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Okay.
We had a question come in from Heidi asking if pre-COVID, when bars were open, if you would get reports of a date rape drug being put into drinks, or is that something that's not as prevalent anymore?
Yeah, we have heard of it. It's, I don't want to say it's rare. It does happen, but it's not often as you would think. Every once in a while, I've taken it from complaints from both male and females. So yeah, we do get to see those occasionally up here. So when you're out, yeah, be careful of your drink and watch over it. All right, and advice for parents. This one hits home for me. I have kids as well, and I think one of the things I learned coming out of narcotics, I had a good idea of how to investigate narcotics, but as far as intervention, I didn't know much about. And when I started this new position, it led me down a path to have contact with a lot of individuals in the recovery field, whether it's working at ATS or GT Drug Coalition or FAN. And these people are a great wealth of knowledge, and some from life experience or family members. And some of the best advice that I've obtained from them so far is to stay active in your kid's life. And I've seen that also on the street. The kids that I deal with, it's not generally their parents don't know where they are or what they're up to. So stay active in your kid's life. Always know where they are, where they're going, and monitor their friends. Know who they're hanging out with, and just as important as who their friends are, monitor what they're doing online. We've handled cases here where teenagers are ordering drugs off the dark web from overseas. It happens here. These kids are getting smarter and smarter with social media and their apps. So stay up on those. Research as much as you can on those. I know they're changing every day, and every day it seems like there's a new one coming out. But educate yourself on those. You can find videos on YouTube and on concealing measures that are out there. You can literally look up some of these traps or hides and that kids are using nowadays. YouTube's a great resource on that.
Hey, Jordan, on that topic, if you don't mind, can you talk a little bit about what are some examples of that? Like, what are some common things that you're seeing that are traps or hides that the kids are using now?
We don't see so much like down at the border, the big hides where they're smuggling in large amounts of contraband. What we see up here is generally personal use.
Okay.
We'll see hides sewn into backpacks. We'll see hides, like I said earlier, in pop cans or in belts. Shoes, tennis shoes. We've seen individuals cut out portions of their Nikes or their Reeboks in the soles, and they'll pull a flat back, and in there they can fit in a gram or two or a half an ounce into their tennis shoes. So, I mean, just be creative. They're creative. Just always wonder. And if you suspect your kids are using, don't be confrontational. Hold them in closer and bring them closer to you and reach out. We have tons of local resources and people that want to be there and assist you and help you, either if it's us or you're not comfortable quite yet talking to law enforcement about it. There's other resources, or we can get you in touch with those people.
So let's say that I find drugs in my child's backpack. As a parent, what is my first step? What do I need to do? What do you recommend I do?
Well, you definitely want to call us. You'd want to turn over the drugs. It is illegal contraband. We'll seize that. We'll do a report. We'll give you some information on local addiction treatment programs. One I'll get into here pretty quick that we've recently partnered up with our other law enforcement agencies here and our court systems and the prosecuting attorney's office. But you'll definitely want to turn that over to law enforcement. We'll come up, we'll do a report, and we'll send that over to our prosecutor's office, and they'll make a determination whether charges should be pursued or not.
Charges against my child or charges against someone else?
Charges, yeah, it would go to probate court here in
Mhm.
Traverse
Okay.
City.
Okay.
But
And have you noticed any social media outlets that are being utilized more than others in order to purchase these drugs?
Snapchat and Facebook are what we see quite a bit. Facebook is pretty big for ordering up locally from what we see. And yeah, Snapchat, order up and it's gone in a matter of seconds. So that's commonly used up here.
I sure didn't know that. Wow. Okay.
Have you, this is just my personal question, with TikTok being so big, I myself have never used it, but I am familiar with it. Is there a way that that could be utilized as a way to
And
purchase?
what I've been seeing is from TikTok is it's kind of like an educational resource from what I've been seeing. I haven't seen it being utilized locally as a means to facilitate a transaction. From what I've seen, it's been a resource for education on whether it's concealing or whatever the subject may be. So, yeah. All right, and what we as law enforcement are doing. And then this one I'm pretty happy about because this is kind of what my position entails, and I get to work with a lot of great people, and I've learned so much in the last year from fellow law enforcement as well as the community. At the police department, we just don't want to have, how do I want to say it? We don't want to just be there for our community. We want to be with our community. So we want to go out there and build good, lasting, sustainable relationships with whether it's businesses, our residents, or groups. We take a lot of pride in that, and we want to work hard with them. And this is one project or one, I guess, avenue that we've kind of taken up on us that is important to us and that we want to reach out from kind of when we went on to implementing like a drug market intervention model. And the first one is our Angel program, partnering with the Michigan State Police and the Grand Traverse County Sheriff's Office, our prosecuting attorney's office. Just working with them has been so great. As law enforcement, I've seen in the last 10 years a major shift from wanting to lock everybody up to really looking at the root of the problem and being there for our community and trying to figure out other ways to solve some of these issues. And the Angel program, it kicked off in late November. Again, this is through the Michigan State Police. We opened it up here at our law enforcement center. And what it is anyone from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. If they want to seek treatment for their substance abuse disorder, they can come on in to our law enforcement center. We'll run them through some checks. If they're deemed able to join the program, we'll sign them up to treatment. We'll try to facilitate them some way to get into that treatment program and start their journey to recovery. And so far, we've had a couple individuals, and hopefully we'll have quite a few more. All right, and then another thing that we do is anytime one of our officers makes an arrest or we come in contact with a family where we think a substance abuse issue may be occurring, again, we give out those pamphlets, we give out information on the Angel program or information on here locally, whether it's ATS. And then going back to those relationships, we're going to really dig our feet in and just try to build those relationships with our fan chapter, our GT Drug Coalition, and any other law enforcement agencies that are out there that don't utilize these groups. I highly recommend it. They're people that really want to work with law enforcement. I've learned so much from them. I highly recommend if you have a chapter in your community to reach out to them. They're a great asset, and they really want to work with us. And then lastly, what we're trying to hopefully implement here in 2021 is an overdose response team. And this team would go out after we receive a complaint of an overdose and the individual goes to the hospital. Within 48 hours, that time is very sensitive for that individual. So what we'd like to do is go out there with a peer recovery coach or a nurse, or vice versa, both of them, and reach out, follow up with that individual and offer some of these resources that we have for them. And basically, we just want to give them people an honorable way out. You know, when they're ready, we're here for them.
Very good. Very good. What other questions do we have?
We have, we were wondering if you could maybe just ramble off a couple of resources that parents can utilize if they don't want to involve the police right away.
Yeah, absolutely. Both locally here, ATS and our GT, Families Against Narcotics. Sorry, that's an acronym for fans, an acronym for them. I didn't probably say that earlier. They are a great local resource. A lot of people there have a lot of knowledge, and they'll be willing to assist anybody that has any questions.
And then when kids buy the drugs online, are they using code words like how you said dog food and things like that, or are they using the actual drug names?
Generally, it's, yeah, code names from what we see.
Okay. And are there other code names? I think, was it dog food used for heroin? What are there any names for like meth or anything like that?
Yeah, ice, speed, smack. Mostly what we see up here is crystal. It's just referred to that, or ice. But each clique too, if they're in a group of friends, they'll come up with their own terminology for it. But if anybody ever has any questions too, you can always contact me here at the police department. I'd be happy to look into it.
There's another question that came up from Michelle. She's asking, is it more relevant in the areas where I-75 runs?
So yeah, historically, I-75 is a major thoroughfare. It's a freeway that runs north and south. So yeah, any of your freeways, crime, people that are into the trade craft of smuggling, they're going to utilize our roadways. And so yeah, they can blend into traffic, and the hotels are right there. They can get on and off, generally right off the freeway. So yes, definitely they're utilized.
Mm-hmm. And another interesting observation was shared related to how just the terminology that we're using involving trafficking, because usually trafficking involves force or coercion, something like that. So they basically, those are folks that truly are victims and being victimized in what they're doing. And as we think about the impact on kids, you know, and the number of children that are involved, what is the process if a youth, anyone under the age of 18, is found to be found to be trafficked? I mean, what do we do with that child? What do? We don't file charges or anything, do we? Or what?
No, in that situation, yeah, we definitely want to get those people, those one out of that situation, and we want to get those people assistance, whether it's mental health or substance abuse treatment. We're going to try to get them whatever they need, and they're going to generally see charges because they were coerced or thrown into that lifestyle.
Yeah, I really appreciate that's a shift in societal thinking that's happening, you know, to really try to help victims of trafficking and other forms of crime. So I appreciate that very much. Thanks, Jordan. What other questions? Do we have any other ones? JD?
Yeah, looks like we have a couple people from the Genesee County area on, and they have something called a GHOST program that their sheriff's department has, and they were wondering if we have something similar.
So we don't as of right now, but we'll be reaching out to them, and I know that they're kind of like the premier agency in their lead. They're doing a lot of proactive enforcement, and they're recovering a lot of juveniles. I've been watching what they've been doing in the news, and yeah, we have some contacts there, and hopefully in 2021 that we can connect with them. And
Can you tell us a little more about the GHOST program?
I don't know so much about it. It's a program that Genesee County Sheriff's Office does. They work human trafficking cases, and they try to locate juveniles, and their sheriff there is extremely proactive, and I've been very impressed, and yeah, I'm looking forward to reaching out with them.
And it looks
Thanks.
like somebody was talking about how there is a Narcotics Anonymous type of group that is currently holding meetings on Thursday evenings via Facebook. And they said it's very similar to like a Alcohol Anonymous group, and it's a 12-step program for those who are concerned about the self-destructive behavior of a loved one. So if anyone is interested in that, go look at that. I've not heard of that, but that's cool that some social media is being used for the right reason.
Reasons, yeah.
And
Absolutely.
we also have people interested in getting your contact information because they want to connect you with other organizations that they're a part of, and they would like to network that way. Are you comfortable with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Please share away.
So Jordan, we'll put that in the chat box then,
Mm-hmm.
contact information. Okay,
Mhm.
sounds great. Sounds good. Any other questions that we had coming in? Is that it? Okay. Well, Jordan, anything else you'd like to share with us today? Thank you so much for joining us. We really
No,
appreciate
thank
being
you for
here.
having me and giving me the time and your platform to kind of, I guess, put out there what we're trying to do here at the PD. And we love our community. We look forward to working with everybody. And anybody has any questions or they want to reach me offline, feel free to contact me at any time. It's what I'm here for, and I look forward to chatting with you. And thanks again.
And
Oh, wonderful.
we'll put his email in shortly. We have one more poll. And before I launch that, I also have a little message for those who are eligible for SCECH credits. I'm not eligible for those, so I'm not exactly sure what that abbreviation is, but I was told if you know what that abbreviation is, you're probably eligible for them. So you will need to fill out a PIC form in order to receive those credits. So if you have questions about that, feel free to email me and I'll connect you with TBA ISD who is offering this. Yes, I wanted to make that known before I launch this last poll. So you'll see this question. It was a question we asked earlier. We're just kind of testing to see what you guys have learned so far with this presentation. So
Basically, has your knowledge changed? No. Not sure. Yeah, okay, thank you. 80-20 split, wonderful. Well, thank you, everyone. And please do reach out to Jordan, JW, if you have any questions or need additional information. And thank you again for joining us this afternoon. We really appreciate it. Take care and stay safe.
I'm putting his email in right now. I just want to make sure I
Okay.
have it right so you guys are not emailing the wrong person.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, Jordan.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. My goodness. There's Jane Moore.
All right.
Kind of saw her for a second.
All right. Thank you, Jordan. We really appreciate your time. Have a good rest of your night.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
All right, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.